dorky, but I think it's cool. And then he smiles, and for a while I'm in love.
Hi, welcome to River's Knitting Chronicles. I'm your host, River, also known as River Cameron on Ravelry, and welcome to episode number 4. We are up to 41 members in the Ravelry group, and I'm very excited about that. If you haven't joined us yet, come on over to Ravelry. River's Knitting Chronicles is the group name, and jump right in. We're having a pretty good time talking back and forth and meeting some new folks, and we'd love to have you join us. We are now also on iTunes. If you're an iTunes viewer, I don't know if it's happening for everyone because I haven't gotten any messages from anyone else, but when I try to download the first 2 episodes, they're kind of still photos with my voice talking. That's not what it's supposed to be like. So if you go to the blog, which is riversknittingchronicles.com, you can see the first 2. Episode 3 seemed to be working just fine on iTunes, and I'm hoping that this one will work out and future ones will work on iTunes as well. So if you're an iTunes viewer, thanks for joining me, and I'm glad to be over there as well. I'm also on YouTube. I have a YouTube channel just called Knitting Chronicles, and I spoke a little bit last week that the plan is to eventually also host some tutorials over there. I haven't had a chance to get started on that, actually filming that this week, but I have been kind of thinking about it and thinking about how to do it and working on it without the actual filming yet. So hopefully before the end of summer I will definitely have some left-handed tutorials or some general tutorials. Just so that you know, Al is in the room again this time. He was in the room last time, but couldn't care less about what I was doing. He's now in the legs of the table that is holding you and meowing. So you might get a peek at Al. I'm going to see what he wants. You want to come up and say hi? You want to say hi? He's really big. Let's see what he'll do. I'll say hi. Hi. That's Al. He's a superhero. See, he's got a mask on to disguise his identity of being a silly cat. Oh, now he's going to totally ignore me, which is a good thing. He doesn't like to be... He's not a very touchy-feely cat. He has a sister. Her name is Madeline, and she's over there asleep right now, and she's a little more hands-on. She likes to be cuddled and petted and all of that stuff. But Al generally doesn't like to be messed with too much, but I guess he's going to talk to you guys as well today. Okay, so the first thing I wanted to talk about is, I don't know if you've been reading the messages on Ravelry. There's a little, for the podcasters who are on Blip, I am not on Blip, as you can tell. I'm on WordPress, through Video Press with them, and I'm also up on YouTube. But for the podcast, if you watch a lot of podcasts, you probably watch a lot of Blip. Blip has decided their business, they're allowed to do what they want, but they have, for whatever their reasons are, that they're talking about taking off things like video casts and video podcasts. And they've been sending messages to some of the blogs that are already, the video blogs that are already out there, and others are just kind of waiting their turn, but they have a feeling that it's coming. And, sorry, that was Al. I don't get him. I really feel bad for them. I get, first world problems, completely understand that there are worse things that can happen to a person than having Blip take all your videos down, but speaking from experience, and this is not a complaint, I love doing this. If I didn't, I wouldn't still be doing it past the first episode, and I'd have sold this camera on Craigslist and said thanks but no thanks. I love doing this, and I think that everyone who's doing this is doing it because they love it and they enjoy it and they like sharing and they like just the camaraderie of getting to interact this way and all of that. But there's an element of kind of putting yourself out there, and there's a little bit of stress. People going to watch, or people going to like it, or do I have enough content? Do I have the right kind of content? Like, there's a lot of that with this as it is, and to now be worried that your videos they're just going to pull your account and your videos are just going to be gone, and if you haven't saved them on your computer, then they're just gone. And in case you didn't know, I just found this out when I got on iTunes. iTunes doesn't actually save the videos on there. All they do is act like a feed thing that it'll, you give them the RSS, which I still don't know what that means. I'm learning so much with this, but they just kind of act as a go-between to help people get videos or podcasts, audio, whatever, from whatever the host is. And so for a lot of folks on iTunes, that was Blip. And so even if they still have all their videos stored on their computers or on YouTube, moving to someplace else is going to affect their, I think it'll affect their, I think it's just a lot of stress for a lot of podcasters who have been working really hard and I think have been supplying us with lots of entertainment. And so I feel for them, and I hope that this somehow can get worked out in a way that it's not just total misery. And I hope that y'all don't feel like giving up, and just, I hope it doesn't turn into a, do we even still want to do this conversation for too many podcasters as they're trying to deal with losing their videos and losing their, how they're getting seen and having to do all this hoop jumping with little notice. And so, yeah, so I'm not on Blip, but a lot of the podcasts you watch, if you watch a lot, I'm sure are, if you want to just stop on their boards and in their groups and just say, thinking about you, feeling for you, I hope that you can work this out. Give them some love, because they might be stressed, and it might just help make it easier for them. So, news of the day. Okay, so what I wanted to talk about for my podcast is stash versus project purchasing. I'm not a stash buyer. When I was a scrapbooker, I was. That's why you'll see it later, but that's why I have all of this stuff to make the needle holders, is because I was a scrap shopper first and a scrapbooker second. I didn't want to be that with knitting, and luckily you don't really have to, because it's not a huge tool intensive. It's needles and yarn, and you can get lots of different kinds of needles and lots of different kinds of yarn, but that's, stitch markers. Beyond that, that pretty much sums it up. I have the hiccups, sorry. But I tend to prefer buying yarn for, I know I'm going to make something. As you can see behind me, the top shelves are other finished, a lot of them you've seen already, and I'll go through some of the ones you haven't seen at some point. But behind me is pretty much my entire stash, and the majority of it is stuff that was purchased for a project that is happening or going to happen, purchased for a project that I changed my mind on, or remnants of a project where I finished it and I had yarn left over. As you can see, Fred Fred is sitting on these tubs. These tubs have mostly acrylic. I don't even like looking at it, so I stick it in there. I did do a kind of stashy at Joann's for acrylic, thinking I was going to make monsters out of it, and I got half of one, and that was it. So they're kind of waiting for a good place to donate them to. I'm kind of holding out to have one of my son's teachers say we could use art supplies and have yarn on that list, and then it's going. I don't think I'm going to use it. I do on occasion use it for small things, like I might use it for Christmas ornaments or things like that, where I don't have to spend a lot of time with it or use it for too long so that it doesn't make my hands sore. But all of the good stuff is behind us. And it's not even all of it. This is a 9-shelf little cubby system. Not even all of them. One of the shelves near the bottom you can't see has books and magazines. One of the shelves has project bags. This shelf here has whips of shame. I think that's what the Knit One Heart 2 ladies call them, with one exception. And so that's what I wanted to talk about today. Let me see which way do I want to turn. Okay, this is all of my sock yarn. These were purchased for a specific pattern in mind, and then I fell in love with this red, and then I wanted to make a shawl with the red, so then I actually have 3, because I have a sock that I'm going to show you later that's out of this. So all of this was purchased with projects in mind. This pink is Malabrigo. Most of my sock yarn is Malabrigo because I love it so much. I bought this for the peach socks. I knew I wanted a corally peach, and I couldn't find it. And so I bought this thinking close enough, it's a good plan B. And then I just couldn't bring myself to doing it because I loved this and I loved that pattern, but I just really wanted it to be peach, and I didn't want it to be, you know, second best. So I saved this, and hopefully I'll find something. You can't see how pretty that is. It's a, I guess, variegated, different shades of hot pink, light pink, baby pink. It's really, really pretty. I have some Aaliyah Shea Creations, and I haven't wound it yet. This was bought for one of the single skein. It is not showing up how pretty it is at all in that picture. It is one of the single skein for Tour de Sock for this term. So I bought that. It's kind of a beach thing. It doesn't sound pretty, but it's kind of pink into brown, but it's very, very subtle the way that it goes, like sunset on a beach without white sand. It's really, I hate this not showing up how pretty it is. It's gorgeous, and she's wonderful, and she's one of my house cup friends. And so I want to show you that. Directly behind me, and I will back up this way, this looks like a lot of yarn, and it looks like a lot of stash. And it is almost exclusively Malabrigo Rios. So it looks like I just went to town, which I did, but on purpose. I've got reds, I've got greens, I've got blues. Some of them are balled up, some are not. They are for a very specific project, and it is called, oh, here we go. It's called the Sylvan Blanket. And everybody who has a podcast, I think, has a blanket or two kind of in the works. That's one of those. For me, it's kind of a palette cleanser. I did buy the Hexapuffs pattern, but I had already started this, and so that'll be next. But basically what these are is they're strips of leaves. If you can see. And so once you get the pattern memorized, it's a really, I'm not going to say fast because it is kind of long, but it's not super boring. It's not just stalking it back and forth. You get to think a little, play a little, but not have to do too much. And then, let me see if these are. So some of these I have are variegated and some are in solids. And so the way this blanket works is, or this Afghan works, is they go together like this. So you'll seam them. So what I did was, and these haven't been blocked, what I did was, I'm doing them all out of Malabrigo Rios. And for the ones where it's a full leaf at the top, those are all going to be in variegated Malabrigo. For the ones that it's a half leaf at the top, those are all going to be in the more solid, I know no Malabrigo is fully solid, but in the more solid tonal Malabrigos. So when I have enough of them, or when I'm just ready to go ahead and do it, I will seam them all together, and one skein of Malabrigo Rios will do 2. So I jokingly called this for a long time, I have 4 at this point, the world's most expensive blanket, because a blanket completely made out of Rios should be really expensive. But so far I've lucked out. Most of the time, at least at first, I was only buying the yarn as I'm trying to set up straight. I was only buying the yarn as I was going to use it. But then one of my local yarn shops the owner had decided she was going to go to nursing school, and so all of her Malabrigo, everything was on sale at least 50% off, and she had the best, which is why I was so sad that she was closing, she had the best selection of Malabrigo in town. And so I just bought a ton of it. And then luckily someone else came and bought it, but they don't have nearly as much Malabrigo as she did. But at least we still have the shop. And then another local shop, the shop that is hosting the Fiber Festival that I mentioned last week, they are also going through some shop changes and what yarn brands they're going to carry, and they put all of their Malabrigo Rios on sale 50% off. So I got some there. So I've been able to catch sales to have a good stock supply of the Malabrigo Rios to go ahead and make my Afghan. So it's no longer going to be the most expensive one on the planet. It'll just be somewhat pricey for a person with cats who still have all of their claws to have to put on their couch, which is the plan for it if it ever gets finished. But yeah, they'll be nice. They generally stay away from my knitting, with one exception. I can't remember if I told this story when I showed it. The Harry Potter illusion shawl with Harry's face in it, I had left it, I was working on it. I had like a week until the movie, maybe not even a week, maybe like 3 days, and I just sat and knit all day, trying to get it done. And we had to go grocery shopping, I think it was. Like, I had to go someplace. And instead of putting it back in the bag, I just left it on the bed so I wouldn't have to then unpack it when I got home. And I get back, and Al, I know it was Al because he's the one who does this all the time, he did cat throw up on him, on Harry Potter's face. And, yes, my friends at the Harry Potter House Cup, Knit Crochet House Cup, I talked about them in episode 2, were so wonderful and really helped me through that, what I considered a crisis, because I'd worked so long and so hard and really wanted that to wear it to the filming. My daughter and I had gotten tickets for a double feature. It was for the second Deathly Hallows, the final movie. And we had gotten tickets for the double feature, and we had all of these big plans, and we were going to dress up, and it just seemed like it would be so much fun to get to wear that shawl, and then Al doesn't like Harry Potter or Daniel Radcliffe, one or the other, I don't know. And so literally right on the face. I don't see how that was not on purpose. So I ended up losing a day of knitting because it came right out. I washed it. I soaked it and washed it and laid it out. And by the next day I could get back to knitting on it. But I didn't finish in time. I ended up knitting on it at the movie and wearing one of my other Gryffindor pieces instead. And I have a Quidditch t-shirt, so I wore that. But yeah, so anyway, I don't remember how I got on that topic. But anyway, so that's kind of my top shelf back there. I'm just not a stash person. I get nervous if I see just one thing. Well, what if I decide to make for it I needed 2, but then I can't get 2 of the same dye lot, and it just seems stressful to me to just buy without knowing where it's going. Not so much with sock yarn if I'm like, well, it's beautiful and I'll eventually make socks, and I could always make a pair of socks out of a skein of sock yarn. But generally, I said a lot. Generally, I buy with a project at least in mind. I don't necessarily always use it for that, but I do. So my question to you for this week is, are you a stasher or a project purchaser? And so I'll put that on the Rab group, and so we can talk back and forth about our purchases and maybe share some pictures of some of your favorite purchases, or best deals if you found some other deals like my wonderful half-off Malabrigo. And I love Malabrigo. I don't know if I've said that enough yet, but I do love it. Okay, so let's move. Now I'm being like Karen Coffin. Let's move on to whips, and I'm going to start with 2 that you have already seen, but they did get a lot of work done since the last time you saw them. And I just dropped one. Here is, and it's so much bigger. Oh no, I've forgotten I'd stopped mid-row. I want to be careful. Well, that's terrible. Why did I do that? Here is my vodka lemonade sweater. I'm going to have to hide my face so you can see the whole thing. So the seed stitch part is the collar, and all of this is now through the shoulders. So I've done, it's over twice as big as it was the last time you saw it. It is called the Vodka Lemonade by Thea Coleman, and I'm making this in Madeline Tosh DK in the colorway Tart. And I'm using Knit Picks size 6 needles, which is 4 millimeters. It's to the point now that I don't even need to consider the pattern. it was very nice the way she had us put in the stitch markers, so I don't even really have to think. Last week, I know I mentioned that it was really hot, but I said I would explain and I didn't. Our air conditioner went out. And I know that not every place in even our country has central air as a general thing, but I live in Florida, and I'm in an apartment in Florida. And apartments here aren't built for even having any kind of breeze with windows open. The windows are small. If they're built with central heat and air in mind. And so we had no air, and it got really, really hot in here to the point where we couldn't be in here. It was killing us. We were both getting headaches. We were really feeling bad, really run down. So we would leave and go to the mall, and I put some from iTunes. I downloaded some podcast, actually Knitting in Circles. That's a new one to me. I know she's been doing it for a while. But I had the first 5 Knitting in Circles on my Nook. I downloaded them from iTunes and put them on my Nook. And we went to the mall, and the mall has a center little play area for kids. And so my son played, and I just went to town on this and watched all 5 Knitting in Circles for one of the days that we went to the mall, and kind of waited and hoped and prayed. They replaced the entire unit. That didn't do it. It was 4 days of absolute torturous misery. I wouldn't have lasted another day. I actually left them a message and said, if it's not fixed, y'all are going to just have to leave the clubhouse open, and we're going to have to stay up there until it gets done, or get us a hotel, because we can't take this anymore. I have a friend from Sweden, and she was saying that she has no central air, and where she is, her apartment also gets really hot, and there aren't window screens, but she's allergic to bees, so she can't just leave her windows open. And so we have this whole kind of back and forth about how much she misses. She's from here. We went to yes, she's not from here. She moved around a lot, but she went to high school for a couple of years with me, and we're still friends on Facebook. Hi, Angelica, if she's watching. And so they don't have snakes. I was like, no screens. What about spiders and snakes and raccoons? And she was like, yeah, we don't have deadly of those like you do over in the States. We don't have to be protected from the nature as much, except she does because of her bee allergy. So anyway, this is a tangent show today, I guess. Okay, so that's the vodka lemonade. Next thing I'm going to show you has also grown. It also fell. Everything's falling today. Tangents and falling. This is the Geyer cowl, which has grown a good bit too. I hope that looks bigger to you. It is by Elizabeth Elliott, and I am knitting it on Malabrigo, Silky Merino. The brown color is called Smoke, and the reddy pinky color is called Amoroso. I'm knitting it on US size, also my knit picks, US size 7s, which is 4.5 millimeters. I am almost halfway done, I think. I have to do the whole chart, and then I have to go back and I have like 12 rows in the chart, and then I have to go back and I have 12 rows left, and then I have to go back and do the first 16 rows again, and then it gets back to this again. And then I'm going to do the second half, which is the inside, and that is just round and round. Barbara pulls the 2 colors together, so that will go much faster than the color work. Some of the color work rows have longer stretches of the same color, and those go quick, but some are like one color, the other color, one color, the other color, with one stitch at a time, and those take me a while. I'm considering looking up some of the tricks for like holding both colors in your hand at once and all of that, but I'm so nervous about the yarn getting all tangly that I've not tried it. Sorry, the yarn fell out of the bag. Okay, so that's that, and it's coming along really well. And now I have a new whip to show you. It is sock 3 in the Tour de Sock, and it is called Lebowski. And it is inspired by the film The Big Lebowski, which Sorry, don't shoot me. I haven't seen it. It actually came on TV, and my husband was telling me, you should watch it. It's really funny. But I'm just not a movie girl, and I was actually watching Wolf Farms podcasts, and because I'm still trying to get caught up to the beginning, or to the end of where they are, and that's the one I'm working on right now. And I'd rather watch that than silly comedy movie. So that's what I was watching. It lives in this bag I got at a local LYS, so it looks a lot like the other bag, but this one actually was made as a knitting bag. Rock Flower Paper is the brand. I really like it. There's been a lot of bags that I've seen that I've liked and considered, as much as I don't want to spend money on bags. But I really like bags. But they have zippers. And so I like that this just has a clicker. I don't have to worry about my yarn getting stuck in a zipper, because that would totally happen to me. Anyway, so here is, and I have all of this yarn. It's in 3 colors at this point where I left off. Here is my Lebowski so far. The way it works is it's 2 colors are striped up, and then it's got 3 different types of color work in the pattern. This is mosaic. If you're not familiar, what you do is I actually knit 1 round in the white, 1 round in the blue, 1 round in the white, 1 round in the blue, and then when I came to the other, where it was supposed to be the other color in the pattern, you slip the stitch. So it picks up the color to make that little shape. And then this is stranded color work up here, and I'm almost done with this section. And then the heel actually has a intarsia eagle. I've never done intarsia before, but I figured this is as good a time as any to give it a try and see how I feel about it. I wasn't blown away when I first saw the pattern, but now that I'm knitting it, I'm really enjoying it. Really, really, really enjoying it. It came out Wednesday. I've been giving myself permission not to rush it. If I don't finish it in time, I don't finish it in time. And then what's funny is then this is really all I want to work on. But it's been going quick. It's one of those where I want to get to the next color. I want to get to the next, I want to get to the next color work section. So it's got those little motivators in it, so that's kind of fun for this. I did the German long tail cast on, that's what it's called. I did the German cast on that we had to do with the first pattern. I did that one again on here because it didn't specify one, and I'm really enjoying that one, and so they're nice. And I'm calling these my America socks because they're red, white, and blue. The red is Malabrigo sock in Tisano red. The white is Miss Babs Cosmic in Wheaton. And I've never used Miss Babs until this, and I'm in love. I am so in love. I'm not suggesting it's the same base at all, but literally I can't feel a difference between the Malabrigo and this. It knits exactly the same. It looks like it's the same brand. I don't see a difference at all in the width or anything. The blue is a little bit thinner, and I can tell, and it's a little scratchier. I can definitely tell that the blue isn't the same par as these two, but these two are just amazing. And it's got tons of colors, and I think it'll be easier to, especially for more solid things for socks. So Miss Babs has a new greatest fan, #1 fan right here. I love it. Like the blue, so I have no idea what it is. I bought it along with, it came with this, and it was like a mini skein that came with this to do heels and toes, and there was a sock for last year's tortoise sock that required having 2 colors like that, and so I bought it and then ended up not doing that pattern. I don't even remember which one it was. And then I didn't like this until I started to knit a pair of yoga socks for a friend of my daughter's, But then once I started knitting this up, I really, really liked it. It doesn't look like much in the skein. It looks kind of unpleasant yellowy green and then pink, but knit up it's gorgeous. And so I was decided I wasn't going to give it away to kind of a stranger to me. So I frogged the yoga socks so that I can actually make something for myself. But honestly, I won't use the blue with them because I've got the blue with these socks. So let's see, did I tell you everything? They're called Lebowski. They are by Star Athena. Oh, and I am, again, I have such a tangled mess. The only thing I don't like about the color work. These are, I'm a very tight knitter, so keep that in mind. These are Chaigus US 3s, which are it's written on, it's one, shoot. I know it's written on here somewhere. Sorry, this is taking so long. And I can't see it right now. But they're US 3s. Most people do socks in 1s, some 2s. These give me gauge, and so that's what matters, and so that's what I use. I love the Chaigus. I know some people think that the cord memory is too much for them. I love that it has that cord memory because it doesn't ever curl up or roll up. And because it has the memory, if it gets to where they're twisted or whatever, I can just flip them and they just go to how I want them to be. So I love these and plan to fill my needle holder with tons of them as I continue on this knitting journey. And speaking of needle holder, I have been working on, oh my gosh, I'm over 30 minutes. I have been working on my needle holder that I had shown you guys. And so I want to show you, and I guess really quick because I'm way long. These I made out of, these are just kind of patterned cardstock and some rub-ons for the numbers. Let's see. There you go. To hold my needles. And the patterned cardstock is, I was worried that they wouldn't really hold the needles, but they're holding them pretty well. I don't know that I'd go flipping them around or trying to dance with them. But so far I'm really liking how they look. I'm really liking how they're working. My concern with them is that, so here they are in the pouch. I'm not going to be able to put the whole set of knit picks, like side by side in here at this size. So that's kind of why I stopped instead of doing the whole set. See, I can get 2 like that, but that's... So I don't know if I want to make them smaller, if I want to just use more pouches. I don't know. I'm still kind of playing with them, but I just adore how that looks. It's so much prettier than this. Yeah. So this is more me than this. So I'm going to be figuring this out pretty quickly. I'm going to go ahead and call that a show because we're at 33 minutes. Thank you very much for watching. Again, please, your favorite Blip podcaster, to go give them some love and tell them that they're awesome and you're pulling for them to figure out this Blip thing and to be able to stay on the air. And join the Ravelry group. And if you would like, the show can be found at riversknittingchronicles.com. On YouTube, the YouTube channel is Knitting Chronicles. The Ravelry group is Rivers Knitting Chronicles. And if you want to send me an email for whatever reason, it's riversknittingchronicles@gmail.com. And thank you very much, and we'll see you next week.
On a boy named Samson. He doesn't know who I am, and he's got thick brown hair, blue eyes that stare into your soul. He makes me feel so pretty.